this is Tawny with the Kinsman Free Public Library, and today's triple feature is going to be The Bad Mood and the Stick by Lemony Snicket, The Bad Seed by Jory John, and Lester's Dreadful Sweaters by K.G. Campbell. The Bad Mood and the Stick by Lemony Snicket. Once there was a stick in a bad mood. The stick was on the ground, and the bad mood was with a girl named Curly. Curly had been with the bad mood for 2 hours, since she had seen an ice cream store but hadn't gotten any ice cream. The stick had been on the ground since last night when the tree dropped it. Curly picked up the stick and used it to poke her brother. "That's not nice," said her mother. "Apologize to Napoleon and throw the stick in the bushes." Curly had really enjoyed poking her brother Napoleon, so much that her bad mood was gone. Her mother was carrying it now. "Humph," she said, which is a bad mood noise. The stick didn't say anything, even when a raccoon picked it up. Who knows what the raccoon wanted to do with the stick? But he ran out of the bushes and frightened an old man named Lou. "Holy moly!" said Lou, which is what he always said when something exciting happened, and his feet did a little dance. And he fell into a puddle. Curly's mother couldn't help herself and started to laugh. Her bad mood was gone. Lou had it. The sound of all that laughter startled the raccoon, and he dropped the stick in the mud. "Look at my pants," Lou said, which was his bad mood noise. "They're a muddy mess." The stick didn't answer. Lou went right to the dry cleaners. A lady named Mrs. Durham was head of the establishment with a pencil behind her ear. "Take that pencil out of your ear," said Lou. "You gotta wash these pants and wash 'em quick. I'll stand around here in my underwear until you're done." "You will do no such thing," said Mrs. Durham. "This is a family place." But Lou had already had his pants off. "Here you go," he said. "They're a muddy, awful mess." "Ugh," said Mrs. Durham, looking at the pants and looking at Lou. And you would think that the bad mood would have moved on to her. But it didn't. She took one look at Lou in his underwear, and the bad mood flew right out the window. You never know what is going to happen. Same thing with the stick. You would never guess, but some kind of bug made a brightly colored cocoon on it. "Well, look at that," said Bert, and picked it up to look at it better. He took it back to his ice cream store and put it on display. "That's sure unusual," said Curly's mother when they walked by. "What do you say, kids? Let's all have some ice cream." Curly had fudge ripple and Napoleon had mint chip. Curly's mother ordered vanilla yogurt, but she changed her mind and had fudge ripple too. That didn't bother Bert. The bad mood was nowhere around. By the time Lou arrived with his pants all clean and pressed, he wanted a double scoop, and so did Mrs. Durham. "Holy moly," Lou said. "Do I love ice cream." Mrs. Durham smiled. "Same here," she said. And 3 years later they were married. The wedding was right there in the park, and everyone in this book was invited. Even the raccoon. Curly and Napoleon carried the flowers, and they did great. You never know what is going to happen. By then, the bad mood had gotten all around the world. You yourself had it several times. The stick, however, stayed in the ice cream store. The cocoon had opened a long time ago, and Bert had helped the bug fly out into the world. But the stick he kept right there. It put him in a good mood. The end. Next is The Bad Seed by Jory John. I'm a bad seed. A bad seed. Oh yeah, it's true. The other seeds, they look at me and they say, "That seed is so bad." When they think I'm not listening, they mumble, "There goes the bad seed." But I can hear them. I have good hearing for a seed. How bad am I? You really want to know? Well, I never put things back where they belong. I'm late to everything. I tell jokes with no punchline. I never wash my hands or my feet. I lie about pointless stuff. I cut in line every time. I stare at everybody. I glare at everybody. I finish everybody's sentences, and I never listen. And I do lots of other bad things too. Know why? Because I'm a bad seed. A bad seed. I just can't help it. Sure, I wasn't always this bad. I was born a humble seed on a simple sunflower in an unremarkable field. I had a big family, seeds everywhere. We found ways of having fun. We were close. But then the petals dropped, and our flower drooped. It's kind of a blur. I remember a bag. Everything went dark, and then, a giant. I thought I was a goner. I thought I was done for. I screamed and I hollered, but I was spit out at the last possible second. I flew through the air and I landed under the bleachers with a huge thud. When I woke up, it was dark outside. A wad of gum had softened my fall. I felt okay, but something had changed in me. I'd become a different seed entirely. I'd become a bad seed. A bad seed. That's right. I stopped smiling. I kept to myself. I drifted. I was friend to nobody and bad to everybody. I was lost on purpose. I lived inside a soda can. I didn't care, and it suited me. Until recently. I've made a big decision. I've decided I don't want to be a bad seed anymore. I'm ready to be happy. It's hard to be good when you're so used to being bad, but I'm trying. I'm taking it one day at a time. Sure, I still forget to listen, and I still show up late, and I still talk during movies, and I do all kinds of other bad stuff. But I also say thank you, and I say please, and I smile, and I hold doors open for people. Not always, but sometimes. And even though I still feel bad, sometimes I also feel kind of good. It's sort of a mix. All I can do is keep trying and keep thinking, maybe I'm not such a bad seed after all. Hey, look, there goes that bad seed. Actually, he's not that bad anymore. I heard that. The end. Our final story is Lester's Dreadful Sweaters. Cousin Clara's cottage was consumed by a crocodile. Luckily, Cousin Clara wasn't in it. Upon hearing the news, Lester disapproved. Cottages, he muttered, aren't meant for munching. He added crocodiles to his list of suspicious stuff starting with C. Then he checked that his socks were even and combed his hair. No one knew exactly whose Cousin Clara was, so she came to stay with Lester's family. She was little and frilly and came with a basket of knitting. I added crocodiles to my list, Lester assured her. At first, everything went well enough. Clara didn't make unsavory noises or rearrange Lester's lost and found collection. All she did was sit and knit, clickety-click, clickety-click. One morning, she said, I made you a sweater. And Lester thought, how kind. Until he saw it. It was shriveled yet saggy. It had holes where it shouldn't, and none where it should. It was a less than pleasant yellow and smothered with purple pom-poms. It was dreadful. Say thank you, Lester, said Lester's mother. Thank you, whispered Lester. He'll wear it to school, said Lester's father. Lester's day did not go well. Mr. Twist didn't compliment his carefully combed hair, which he always did. And Enid Measles made a less than pleasant remark. Later, Lester's sweater was discovered in the laundry, all stringy and shrunken. What a mysterious accident, said Lester. Not to worry, said Cousin Clara, and she kept on knitting, clickety-clack, clickety-click. The next morning there was another sweater, this one covered in bits. It shouldn't and didn't cover bits it should. It was an irksome pink and dotted with oddly placed upside-down pockets. It was ghastly. "Don't you look handsome," said Lester's mother as she handed him his lunch. Lester's day went worse than the one before. Mr. Twist didn't notice his nicely knotted tie, which he always did, and Enid Measles said several irksome things. Later, Lester's sweater was discovered in the yard, shredded by the lawnmower. "An inexplicable tragedy," said Lester. "Never mind," said Cousin Clara, and still she knitted, clickety-click, clickety-click. The next sweater was repulsively pumpkin, uncommonly crooked, and had a hidden hood. It unraveled in the rain and got washed down a drain. The next was an awful olive and had alarmingly large buttons. It was pecked to pieces by several outraged ostriches. Then there was the terribly turquoise one with several unexpected sleeves. It got stolen by ne'er-do-wells. It seemed that as fast as she could knit them, Cousin Clara's creations were doomed to disaster. "I have curiously bad luck with sweaters," Lester explained. "Luckily," said Cousin Clara, "I'm a curiously speedy knitter." That night, long after bedtime, Lester could hear a frantic clickety, 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 click. At dawn, he arose to a bone-chilling sight. In the parlor loomed a woolly mountain of cruel colors, appalling polka dots, frightening stripes, startling tassels, and things with 6 fingers. "Oh no!" wailed Lester. "Enid Maisel's party is today!" They found him crouched amidst the remains of grimly dismembered garments. He clutched a large pair of scissors, and his hands were covered with red yarn. Lester's parents said some loud and angry stuff. Lester said he was sorry. Cousin Clara didn't say anything. She just smiled and held up another sweater. When Lester arrived at Enid's, Mrs. Measles said, "You must be with the clowns." "I'm doomed," Lester explained, "to a life of dreadful sweaters." Lester disapproved of clowns. "Noses," he mumbled, "are not for honking." But the clowns liked Lester. "We love your sweater," they told him. "You don't think?" gasped Lester. "It's dreadful?" "The feathers and the feet," said the clowns, "are super cute." "Would you?" asked Lester hopefully. "Like your own." "There are more?" "More?" shrieked the clowns. "By now," said Lester, "there should be tons." "Follow me." On seeing Cousin Clara's freshly knitted collection, the clowns went nuts. "So stylish," they cried, "so fresh, so inspired." "Oh, stop," giggled Cousin Clara, knitting away, clickety-click. "We'll take them all," declared the head clown. "Can you make more?" Cousin Clara, Lester assured him, is a curiously speedy knitter. On the spot, Cousin Clara was offered a job knitting for the whole troop. "Does your act," asked Cousin Clara, "involve crocodiles?" It didn't, but the position did include a fanciful caravan of Clara's very own. So she accepted the offer and packed up her knitting. "Won't you," asked the clowns, "miss your family?" "I'm not sure," said Cousin Clara, "if we're even related." After everything was gone, Lester discovered a honking nose and a left-behind sweater. It was a gruesome hue of maroon and had an itchy, ill-fitting bits with bells. Lester eyed the garbage can. But then he carefully catalogued both things and added them to the lost and found. "Just in case," he murmured, "I ever become a clown." The end. If you would like to rehear another story, I'm going to include timestamps so that you can skip forward or skip back as well. Thanks for listening.